yourselves for a battle of epic proportions between two titans. Feast upon their voices and revel in their words. This is Dueling Ogres.
Hello, Ogres, and welcome to episode 25. Thank you for joining us as always on this arboreal Wednesday evening, Earth date November 12th, 2014. I'm your host, Remington Hitchcock, and with me as always is my co-host, Brandon Full. Say hello, Brandon.
How are you, gentlemen? All your base are belong to us.
You have no chance to survive. Make your time.
Ha 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 ha.
All your base, all your base are belong to us.
I had an All Your Base Are Belong to Us t-shirt in high school.
Yeah, I remember that.
And it was one of my favorite shirts. I still wish I had it. I just don't feel like you can wear an All Your Base shirt now.
Why is that?
It was just so over-memed.
Well, that's because memes almost didn't exist back then, you know?
Yeah.
It wasn't a thing to make a meme.
Would it be considered ironic now to wear an All Your Base shirt? Would I be okay to wear an All Your Base shirt again if I bought one?
I'm not afraid of being viewed as some sort of trope, so...
Well, you basically walk around as some sort of troll, hiding under bridges, eating villagers' goats. So you don't really care what people think of you.
I'm a character. That's why my Facebook image is an animation of me.
Is that why you've left it as... Because your Facebook picture has been a cartoon of yourself that you drew for years now.
Yeah. I've only changed it a handful of times.
And for like a week at a time at most.
Yeah.
Do you view yourself as like a caricature?
I almost feel like it's just my internet presence, you know? I don't want to be known as my natural face on there. I want to be known as that guy.
Well, understandable. But what...
What are you trying to say, Brandon?
I'm not trying to say anything. I was just curious, I guess, why you've kept it that way.
I don't know, it's just... I almost feel like it's my internet identity. Plus, it's a lot easier to be like, well, you know, if I look you up on Facebook, you know, you'll know it's the cartoon picture guy.
But it's like the old cartoon version of you with the long hair.
Yeah, long hair covering my eyes and the kind of scruffy beard.
Speaking of characters, though, what's up with Muppets? Like, have you seen the Muppet movies? Any of them?
Not any of the new ones, really.
Have you seen the older ones though, like Muppets Take Manhattan or whatever?
Yeah.
Do they interact with humans, right?
Yes.
Because I've seen bits and pieces of Muppets Take Manhattan, and I saw a Muppet Christmas Carol ages ago. I don't remember it.
Right.
Are they just a normal part of society?
I believe so. I think that's how they portray them. Yeah.
So Muppets are just like another race? Would you consider Muppets a race?
Yeah. Yeah, I would say that they're a race.
So, like, Kermit and Miss Piggy. Kermit the frog. Miss Piggy's a pig, obviously. Are they the same race? Or within the Muppet race, are there then animals? Because there's human Muppets, too. There's, like, Muppets that are people. Like Statler and Waldorf.
Yeah.
So, is Kermit a Muppet animal? A talking Muppet animal? Or do you think that Muppet just encompasses whatever a Muppet is?
Yeah, I think the latter. And that's an interesting take, too, because, I mean, if they were... maybe it's just because there are so many different sub-races of Muppet. Yeah, racism really isn't a problem if you're a Muppet.
I bet there's racist Muppets, though.
I don't know, man. I mean, they're all different things, really, so you would think that there wouldn't be any racism because everybody is so different that that's just the common.
Well, and what's interesting is, like, you look at the Muppet Show and Pigs in Space.
Yeah.
It's an entire cast of pigs.
That's true.
And they're aware enough to call themselves pigs.
Right.
So Muppets were formed after humans.
Yeah.
And they look like pigs, so they call themselves pigs. But are they actually pigs? Are they Muppets? I mean, they are Muppets. Like, do sometimes normal people have a Muppet child? Or do you have to crossbreed with a Muppet to then have a chance, like dwarfism, of having a Muppet child?
Huh. I don't know.
Like, are Muppet pigs born from normal, not human, but normal pigs?
Yeah. It's very existential. I don't know the answer.
Could you have sex with a Muppet? I mean, I know you could. I mean, we both know you could.
Yeah.
But would that be looked down upon, you think?
I don't know.
Or do you think in the Muppet universe...
How would Muppet humans come to be then, you know? they're all kind of animals or monsters of some sort. You know, Elmo is a monster, technically. No, like
Elmo's a monster.
No, like Elmo and Grover and Oscar.
Yeah,
they're all
and
monsters.
They call themselves monsters.
Yeah, they're monsters. So
Big Bird's a bird.
Yeah, Snuffleupagus is a figment of Big Bird's imagination.
Isn't Snuffleupagus a Snuffleupagus? Isn't that what its race is?
Yeah.
Or its subtype?
Yeah.
Like maybe its species under... So the genus would be Muppet, and then the species within that genus. So they all have a common ancestor somewhere.
Right.
But, I mean, they reproduce because you see child Muppets.
Yeah.
And Muppet babies. They're babies, and even then Kermit had his, I think it was his nephew, Tad.
Yeah.
Who was a tadpole.
Yeah.
So somewhere there are Muppets fucking. In this world. In the Muppet world. They're like, I mean, they live in houses. So they're having nice dinners and lighting candles and laying out rose petals and honking away, you know? Because Muppets are full of crazy sound effects. Yeah, anyway, I don't know. I've just been thinking about Muppets a lot lately.
That really came out of left field. I don't know.
It came out of left field for me, too. I wasn't expecting to come into this talking about Muppets, but here we are, I guess.
So, this week, we will be covering BlizzCon. What are you laughing about, Brandon?
I'm just laughing at the segue.
Well, we'll come back to the meat and potatoes of it, but to start off, I went to bed early last night, fully intending on waking up early and doing a bunch of notes.
What's early?
Early for me is like 12-ish p.m.
Okay.
But, you know, I figured, hey, that'll give me a lot of time to go over to rewatch some of BlizzCon. I got the virtual ticket. Rewatch some stuff, take some notes, things like that. Go through a bunch of different articles. And I sleep in a little late. Wake up at 2 instead. I figure, okay, that's still alright, you know.
We typically don't get started. I don't even get here most of the time until 5.
Yeah.
And then
for the podcast.
It's 2 hours before we actually get sat down and start.
Right. So I get a call for a family matter. And, you know, have to take care of the family matter and be a part of that. And then come back and try and bust out as many freaking notes as I possibly can about the things that I wanted to talk about.
And by God, bust out notes you did.
I did, and I got not enough, in my personal opinion, but I'm hoping that I will convey enough information to those of you who care about BlizzCon that you can go on your own and continue your search and find out what really pertains to you. So
what you're doing is giving them the location of the sword in the stone, and it's up to them to retrieve it.
Right. So
you're giving them a knowledge quest. You're giving them a few quest hooks.
Right.
Plot hooks.
Plot hooks, if you will.
And they get to choose which of those plot hooks they follow to their inevitable demise.
Right. It's always the mimic. Watch out for the mimic. So, what have you been up to this week?
Just thinking about Muppets.
Is that it?
No. Actually, I haven't even been thinking about Muppets that much. It was just today. I don't know, it's been in the back of my mind. Just the physiology and stuff of them. I know, it's weird, right?
Yeah.
You know how you get those, like, little things in your head that you can't stop thinking about sometimes?
Yeah.
It was Muppets with me. Like, last week I was thinking about the Kool-Aid Man.
Yeah.
And what the Kool-Aid Man is and, you know, his anatomy and all that. But now, it's been Muppets today.
You should do one of those anatomy books.
But, I mean, you can see through the Kool-Aid Man.
Well, yeah. There's
so
not
you
a
know
whole lot
he's
there.
just liquid and glass.
Yeah.
So Muppets, I mean, I don't think I think they actually make jokes and comments that the Muppets are full of stuffing, right?
I don't know. I honestly haven't paid close enough attention to it.
But Cookie Monster eats cookies and
Yeah.
eats them, presumably digests them.
Yeah.
So he has some sort of system in there. Maybe it's different because he's a monster, as opposed to maybe the monster species of Muppet has a full digestive system. Maybe there's some sort of mutated Muppet that has made them a monster. You know what I mean?
That's weird. So, to break in, I thought I'd mention the Bill Cosby memes
Oh, yeah.
real quick. So, I saw those on the corner of my Facebook, and just cracked me right up. So, apparently, Bill Cosby's Twitter, whoever handles his PR, decided that they were going to throw up a meme creator for Bill Cosby. And there was a bunch of different pictures of Bill being all, I'm Bill Cosby.
No, spot on.
Thank you. And apparently, a few years back, he got called to court for rape charges.
Yeah, this was like 20-ish years ago.
Yeah.
And it was just recently in the news again, it was brought up. 20-ish years ago, he was called to court for... See, I don't know enough specifics about the case to really comment on it one way or the other.
Right.
I think it was dropped. But
Yeah.
even that, I don't know. So
Yeah, I believe you're right. I think it was dropped.
It involved him drugging a woman he was on a date with or out to dinner with.
Uh-huh.
And molesting her in the bathroom or something.
Yeah.
But again, this is just second, third-hand knowledge that I read or heard somebody tell me a while ago, so I don't know. But regardless, there were charges brought up against him at one point.
Right. So the internet in all of its glory jumped on that like a rabid wolf to a damaged bunny.
Or a damaged old black comedian.
Yeah. And within hours, there were hundreds, if not thousands, of different memes scathing Bill Cosby. It goes back to the power of the internet.
Mm-hmm.
Just that visceralness of the internet and how big of a part it can play in just making or ruining somebody.
Yeah.
So, I think within hours or within the day, they had the meme creator taken down, the post was taken down, but the damage had already been done.
Well, they ended up putting a filter on it for a while, where any meme that you created that had the word rape or sex or some other words in it,
Yeah.
it would just delete it.
Uh-huh.
So the meme generator was still up, you just couldn't type those words.
Oh, okay.
So then people were finding ways to work around it. I'm sure you've seen it linked in your Facebook and all over. It's pretty big news.
Yeah. So that was just something I figured I wanted to talk about for a brief second, and the power of the internet once again.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really know enough about what it was to comment either way on the truthfulness of it. Not saying that whoever said it would lie about that. I just, you don't know if the charges were dropped or what it was. I don't know the circumstances surrounding it.
Yeah.
If it is true, it's hilarious that happened to Bill Cosby,
Yeah.
It's just, in the internet, it's just one of those things like the internet doesn't forget.
Right.
If it's not true and it was, trumped up charges or whatever, or it ended up being dropped for a reason, it was proven that it didn't, I feel kind of bad for him.
Yeah.
I mean, like something that happened 20 years ago. I mean, Bill Cosby's old as shit.
Yeah.
He has he probably doesn't even know what a Twitter is. And to have something like this happen. But again, I don't know either way what happened.
Right. So yeah, I just wanted to discuss that for a second. But, segueing back into BlizzCon then.
A very natural segue.
Yeah.
Dueling Ogres is known for.
Yeah. BlizzCon 2014 happened November 7th and 8th at the Anaheim Convention Center. And it was hosted by Chris Hardwick. He hosted several different panels, including the Costume and Talent Contest and the Warcraft movie panel. And as far as it goes, he was freaking hilarious. There was one part during the costume panel where he kind of calls out, he's like, I don't mind getting trolled. I know I look like a douchebag. He's like, I've got tie pants on. I've got a purposefully messed hair style. I look like a dickhead. And I don't mind getting trolled. It's fine. I can deal with it. But most of the trolls are like 13-year-old kids. And the only thing I have to say to you is, you can troll me all you want. You can tell me how bad I am at Heroes. But I will come and fuck your mom. She's about my age. I know she is. She'll probably be into it. I'm going to come and fuck your mom. That had to have been the best line opener for him hosting one of the panels.
That was his opening line?
Well, I mean, he was going
to one of the panels.
To one of the panels, yeah.
And for our listeners, Chris Hardwick, best known as one of the hosts of Eliminate.
What?
That's where you got to start. It was
Really?
him and Jenny McCarthy on Eliminate.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't
You remember that?
No,
Like, 90s MTV
no,
show?
I didn't watch Eliminate.
Oh, well, you're missing out, buddy.
No, I'm not.
Yeah, you're really not.
Yeah. Well, now he's the host of The Nerdist and...
He has a giant podcast network now.
Yeah, The Talking Dead and just a slew of nerdy things. And he was very energetic and extremely funny. He hosted the Warcraft movie panel. And
I didn't even know they were making a Warcraft movie.
Yeah, so the story behind the movie, it's been in the works for a lot of years. And anybody who knows Blizzard knows that they move at a snail's pace with nearly everything they do. So, the movie has been in the works for a really long time, and originally, they were going to have Sam Raimi direct it. Well, they couldn't agree on the script, they couldn't agree with the direction that it was going, and Sam Raimi kind of got dropped out of the picture, and then it was just sitting in the ether for a little while, until they picked up Duncan Jones.
Duncan Jones?
Yes.
That sounds like a made-up name.
Nope, he's real. He's real, and he is Australian, or maybe from New Zealand, one of those.
Does he have any other family members, like famous family members?
Not that I'm aware of.
Not like any archaeologists or anything in his family?
No, he doesn't. He's not Australian, he's English.
So he could be related to Indiana Jones.
He could be. I'm stupid. His accent, though, it doesn't sound very English, to be perfectly honest.
Well, who are you to judge?
I don't know. So, he directed Source Code. He's also directed Moon and Whistle, which was a short. I think that was his kind of break into the business sort of thing. And then backing him is Bill Westenhofer, who is the visual effects supervisor who worked on Life of Pi.
Okay.
So, backing their visual effects is ILM as well.
Nice.
On the actual stage during the panel, they had several props up on stage, which included props that were actually used in the movie, like a set of armor, and other props that were used for photo references. Also on stage was Chris Metzen. Anybody who's familiar with Blizzard knows who Chris Metzen is. He's the Senior VP Story and Franchise Development Manager. And they also had one of the actors from the movie, Rob Kaczynski, who plays Orgrim, which is one of the early orcs who Orgrimmar is named after.
So how popular do you think a Warcraft movie would be? And I mean, I know you're going to be a little biased because you're a big fan of the lore. Are you really a lore person, though, as far as Warcraft goes?
Not really. The movie itself is taking place really early on in the Warcraft franchise. Mm-hmm. So we're talking like the first Warcraft game. Not World of Warcraft, but Warcraft.
Yeah.
I'm not super into the lore, but, I mean, they're going to have Horde and Alliance characters, and they're going to be trying their best to keep it an equal amount of both factions.
Oh, you would have to.
Yeah, you really do.
Just from the small time I've spent with World of Warcraft, I know that people are very dedicated to whatever side they've picked. For the most part. I don't know how many times I'd get messages, even from you, I think, when I first started, of like, Alliance sucks. Maybe it wasn't you, because I always played Alliance.
Yeah, I play Alliance as well.
Maybe it was Kevin. I don't know, your old roommate. Did he play Horde? Somebody. I know that I would get people when I tell them I'm like, oh, I'm playing a gnome. Be like, oh, Horde forever.
Yeah.
What's the Horde? Isn't there a Horde saying? Horde it out.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Just hoard it. I'm just spitballing here.
Right.
So if the creators of the movie are looking for representation of any sort, I think I'm the man to come to.
Right.
I'd alliance that for $1. These are workshopping.
I'm just letting you dig your hole. Really.
Dig my alliance.
So during the panel, they talked about you could actually go upstairs in the convention center and watch. I believe you could watch the documentary, and you could also watch, which I'll get to later, you could also watch a snippet of the unfinished movie. So that was really cool. But Metzen was talking about how they stay pretty close to working with Duncan Jones, the director, to make sure that everything flows properly.
Going back, though, do you think the movie will be wildly successful?
Well, almost everybody knows World of Warcraft.
There's a huge fan base there for it.
And the visual effects seem like they're going to be just blow your mind worthy. So I think even people who aren't particularly like fans of World of Warcraft, even if they're just kind of like fantasy movies, I think that they're going to be pleasantly surprised with how well this movie goes.
It could get a lot of the Lord of the Rings crowd, the casual person who's... Because, fantasy, isn't really a hugely popular genre with the general public, but the Lord of the Rings movies did so much money.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that there's room for Warcraft to even expand its universe into the playing of the game from people watching this movie. Everybody on the project, if you would have watched the panel and what they've talked about in other interviews, are super excited with the story and the script and things of that nature. So the movie's release date is slated for March 2016. They've already finished all of their real-life shooting. All of the rest that is left is the visual effects and the editing and stuff like that.
Do they have a specific day or just March 2016?
I don't know if they have a specific date.
Okay, so if it's March 2016...
They might have, I just didn't see it immediately.
If there's not a specific date, if it's just March 2016, that means they have a lot more wiggle room to push it back if they need to.
Right, exactly. But they were talking on the panel about how they had actually built several sets of Azeroth, including Stormwind. So they built a fully functional main street of Stormwind. And Chris Metzen was in the panel talking about how it was just amazing. He went to the set, and it was just put to a very fine detail. He could go over to the hero board where you could get quests, you know, as you're leveling up, and you could just see they had parchment that had go here and kill hoggers sort of quests pinned up to the board.
That's
he said
really
you
cool.
could go and walk up to the mailbox in Stormwind and just be like, there's the mailbox right there. So that all seems really awesome. And Duncan has said that he wanted to try and make sure that everything, even the visual effects, are just as realistic as possible to try and bridge that gap so you're not getting lost in the visual effects of it all. World of Warcraft is a magical, heavy world.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's a lot of magic floating around, so that means a lot of visual effects, and if you have too much visual effects in a movie, it can tend to take you out of the movie.
Like if there's too much magic and explosions all the time?
Yeah, exactly. I think it'll be really fun to watch, and I'm fairly excited about it.
Yeah, I had no idea they were making a movie, and I'm not even a fan. I don't dislike the lore, I just haven't got into it, and I'm excited to see it now.
Yeah.
Any kind of fantasy movie, and I know, even just from the bare things I know about the lore, it sounds cool. I mean, there's like the steampunk involved, the gnomes are awesome.
Yeah.
The gnomes.
So this will be dealing with a lot of the really early on characters, probably a lot of the ones that we'll be meeting in Warlords of Draenor.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I think it should be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Rob Kaczynski was saying in the panel that he actually had to go to classes to learn how to walk like an orc.
Wow.
Because the orcs, you know, they're 7 foot and like 500, 600 pounds. So you had to walk like you had a certain amount of weight to you. Because you have a mocap suit on. So he's dressed in his silver pajamas, as they called it, and he has dots all over his face. And I mean, they're capturing even dots on the face and dots on the body.
Yeah.
So they can capture the facial cues, which translate onto the rendered character. And just all those little nuances that you get from small facial tics really helps to bring the performance of the actor to that fake character.
Yeah, that's an issue with CGI is a lot of times you see characters in movies that are total CGI and their face just doesn't have enough movement to it.
Yeah. And I think that the technology has come far enough now that we can really grab that.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, Beowulf. Do you remember, did you ever watch the CGI Beowulf?
I've never seen it, but I've seen clips from it, and it doesn't look good.
Really?
From what I've seen, no.
Well, I mean, it was fairly early on in the technology, but that was when they first really started doing that facial recognition.
Yeah.
With the motion capture. So, and I think it holds up.
Well, I think a good indication of where facial recognition and motion capture technology has come is Dawn of the Planet of the Apes.
Yeah, that's
with
true.
Caesar, I mean, he just looks amazing.
Yeah.
He doesn't have that dead-eyed stare that a lot of fully CGI characters have.
Right. Like I said, really excited about the movie.
Yeah.
So the next thing that, this isn't in particular order of how it happened at Blizzcon, but the next thing I want to talk about, so that's how I'm kind of going with this, is Hearthstone's new expansion. You played a little bit of Hearthstone, and then you kind of stopped.
I played a small time frame of Hearthstone, but in that time frame, I played a lot of Hearthstone.
Yeah. So, I mean, how do you feel about it? I mean, is it something that you'd still want to play, and you just don't because you're playing so many other games, or?
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
I mean, I was obsessively playing Hearthstone for a while, hours a day. I mean, it's not like I had anything better to do, really.
Right.
So it wasn't the fact that it was a time sink for me. It was just I hit a cap where I wasn't getting any better.
Uh-huh.
And the people I was playing were getting better, and I just got aggravated with it.
I gotcha. Did you play any of the Curse and Naxxramas stuff?
No. I stopped before any of that stuff came out.
So, their first, I forget what they call it. It wasn't an expansion. It was just, man, I can't remember what they call it. Was the Curse of Naxxramas, which introduced some wings and some one-person play where you could defeat bosses and get new cards. And some of those new cards are really freaking powerful and annoy the piss out of me.
Is there like a power creep where you kind of, if you're playing against somebody who has that card and manages to get it out, and you don't have a card like that, is it pretty much like, oh, I lose then?
Not necessarily, but it does. Even having tweaked some of my decks to include some of those cards, I still just haven't seemed to grasp the shift that happened when those cards came into play.
Yeah.
And I find myself losing a lot more than winning anymore because I haven't used those cards to their full effect. Because some of them, like I said, are just really, I mean, you almost have to have them in your deck.
See, that sounds irritating.
It kind of is, but I think it just harkens back to the fact that maybe I'm not a very good deck builder.
Yeah.
So
that was my issue too, is I would have to build a deck and play test it over and over and over. And I know that that's part of the fun of a deck building game, is always tweaking your deck, but
yeah.
I got so irritated, like irrationally irritated.
Right.
When I would just lose game after game after game. And they would always, for the most part, they would be close.
Yeah.
So I can give Hearthstone that they would kind of come down to the wire. But then there's games where it's just a total blowout. You get 2 hits on somebody and that's it.
Yeah.
And I know that that's how games go. I've played enough Magic to know. Sometimes you just go up against a deck that is way better than yours.
Yeah.
There's nothing about it. You can't blame the card draw or the randomness of it.
Yeah.
You're just playing somebody who's a lot better than you are.
Yeah.
But, yeah, it just got aggravating.
As far as it goes, I mean, I try to keep my gold up with the daily quests. So I try to complete 1 or 2 of them so I can keep getting gold for when this expansion drops. But I don't play it a whole lot anymore up until like the first of the month, where they have the new season and they get the new card back.
Mm-hmm.
Because every month they close out the season and give you a new card back. So you have to reach level 20 to get the card back.
Okay.
So that's what I'll do. I come in and I'll just play until I get to 20 and then I stop. And occasionally I'll come back in and do a couple 3 quests just to clear my quest board. But with the new expansion, it's goblins versus gnomes. So they're going to be throwing in a lot of goblin cards and a lot of gnome cards. And this will come out in December. And it's going to be introducing 120 new cards with a lot of awesome new abilities. For instance, they were talking about having mechs, you know, how there are mechs in Warcraft.
Yeah.
World of Warcraft, where you can see the gnome, or the goblins walking around in the saw arm mechs.
Yeah.
Well, when you kill off that mech, its death rattle will summon like a new minion, a smaller minion, that theoretically would have been running that mech.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. And he kind of parachutes in. You know, like usually if you get bounced out of something, it parachutes you down.
Mm-hmm.
And just working in a lot of gnomes and goblins, if you know anything about engineering, the profession in World of Warcraft, engineering, you can choose between either doing goblin engineering or gnome engineering, regardless of your faction. And there's always some sort of weird hiccup that could happen, that has a percentage to happen in some of the things you use. So they're throwing a lot of that kind of randomness and that explodiness into the game.
And what's neat about Hearthstone is because it's a digital game, they can do stuff like that.
Yeah.
Whereas a cardboard tabletop game like Magic can't really incorporate that.
Yeah.
Hearthstone being digital is neat because they can do that kind of stuff.
Right. On top of that, with the release of Goblins vs. Gnomes, they're also introducing a spectator mode. So you'll be able to, if you're not interested in playing, but you want to watch your friends that are on your friends list, you'll be able to click a little icon to just watch whatever game they're in. They're kind of implementing this because of the fireside battles, where you can actually go to your local card shop and play on their Wi-Fi, and you can play with local people for Hearthstone.
Oh, okay. I didn't know about that.
Yeah, the fireside gatherings is what they call them. And that's where people kind of do their tournaments and stuff. They're pushing that live interaction. You bring your device and then play with a bunch of people that are in the local network.
Oh, that's neat. So you're at a local network and...
Well, like when we got that card back, when I had you come over and...
That wasn't me.
Oh, who was it?
You were playing with somebody else. Somebody was using your netbook and you were on the computer and...
Oh, yeah, Allison. And I thought I had you come over to do it too, though.
Nope.
Oh. Maybe I just couldn't get a hold of you or something. Well, anyway. Completely lost my train of thought.
Is it because I'm looking at you like an idiot?
Yeah.
I'm just smiling goofily.
Yeah. But, so, yeah, they have the fireside things. And also, along with this spectator mode, they're finally going to be releasing it onto the Android platform.
Yeah, it's surprising that it's taken this long.
It surprises me, too. I don't know if I remember correctly, it's easier to create something for the iPad, but harder to get it out. Whereas Android, it's harder to create something for the platform, but easier to get out. But at the same time, I just don't understand why it's taken so long. Maybe they had some sort of contract with iPad.
Yeah, that's true.
That's the only thing I can think of, because I just don't understand why it has taken so long to get onto the Android platform.
Well, they're two entirely different things to program for.
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe they've had it done for a little bit, but said, all right, I know people want this on the Android, but let's wait. We can push it out with the new expansion.
Yeah. maybe.
I'm sure there's stuff going on behind the scenes that we don't know about.
Yeah, but still, granted, I have a tablet that's running Gingerbread right now, so it's a fair bet that when they release it, I'm not going to be able to run it.
Are you going to buy a new tablet?
I don't know. I'll just find out when it drops. I hope that it goes all the way back to Gingerbread. That would be sweet if I could play from work or something like that.
If your tablet doesn't run it, would being able to play Hearthstone be a large push to you eventually buying a new tablet?
Not necessarily, because I have played Hearthstone on my tablet via my computer. So I have a couple of different apps that I can access my computer from wherever I'm at. But running something like Hearthstone, you want a Wi-Fi connection.
Yeah.
So the refresh rate is quicker.
Is the size of the cards difficult, though?
No, not really. I didn't find it too particularly difficult. The learning curve was actually like selecting it from my tablet and moving stuff around.
Oh, okay.
While we had the computer hooked up to the projector for BlizzCon, Ginger actually played Hearthstone from her computer on the big screen, on the 80-inch big screen, using my tablet to move the cards around.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. There was a learning curve for that too, but it was still a lot of fun to figure that out and play it.
So she's controlling your computer from your tablet.
She's controlling her computer from my tablet.
Which is then transferring it onto the projector.
Yes.
Was there a huge delay?
No,
Really?
It was quick, yeah. I would love to know more people who played Hearthstone around here. I would almost be willing to host my own fireside gathering. And I'm hoping that it seems like a lot of people around here have Android devices moreover than Apple devices.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm hoping that the release of it to Android will maybe have a little bit of a push to have fireside gatherings at the comic shop.
Is the Hearthstone app itself free?
Yeah,
I know it's free on the computer,
well,
but
yeah,
I mean,
it's
is
a
it free for
it's a
devices?
free-to-play game, yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, the app I imagine will be free because I mean it's got microtransactions, so that's how you pay.
Yeah.
You just have to have a Blizzard account. So I don't know how they're going to be integrating, like making a new account for that, but I'm sure it exists on the iPad, so I'm sure that they already have a way.
Maybe
to do
that was part of the delay too.
Maybe
is figuring out all the red tape to do a Blizzard account through there.
It could be. It could be. Moving on from that, we've got the tournaments. For those of you who don't know, at BlizzCon they host tournaments for their various IPs. And I figured I'd just really quickly talk about the winners of the tournaments.
Before you read these, were you familiar with any of these names at all?
I have heard of Skill Capped, which was for World of Warcraft Arena. I've heard of a few of them, but I am not a big watcher of esports.
Does World of Warcraft have, and even Hearthstone to a lesser extent, have its, like, all-stars? I mean, if you're into esports, do you know, like, oh yeah, I can't believe that guy, he was in a group with me one time. He's one of the big champions now or whatever.
I mean, I've never run across them, but
I mean, are there people like that? Where somebody who's really into World of Warcraft, especially the PvP esports side of it, you say that name and they recognize it. Like, oh yeah, that guy's one of the best.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, when it comes to raiding, because I mean, that tends to be a little bit more what I do in World of Warcraft. Hearing of the top tier guilds who are clearing the content, especially in the podcast that I listen to, I tend to be up on some of the names that are the top tier raiders. Okay. So, like, for the live raid exhibition, it was Method and Midwinter. And I've heard of both of those guilds. So, the tournament winners, for anybody who cares, StarCraft World Championship Series was MMA versus Life, and Life won with a 4-1 victory. The WoW Arena World Championship was Skill Capped from the EU with 2 versus Bleached Bones with 4 wins. So Bleach Bones won the championship there.
What is WoW Arena? Is that the PvP part?
Yeah, that's the PvP portion where it's just 3 to 5. You know, there are several. There's 2v2, 3v3, 5v5, I think.
For the tournaments, do they do one-on-one?
No. It's a team.
So Bleached Bones and Skill Capped are teams?
Yes, they're teams.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. The Hearthstone World Championship.
And this is one-on-one?
This is one-on-one,
okay.
Yes. Were Tiddler Celestial with 0 wins versus Firebat with 3 wins. So he took a sweeping victory. They played 3 different matches, and you have 3 different decks you can choose from. So you have 1 that you're playing with and 2 in reserve. I think.
Okay. And you can switch out?
And you can
or
switch
stick
out.
with the same one if you want?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Mind you, the stages for, like, the actual stages where they played, the StarCraft one, they had, like, a morphing stage. So they had graphics and stuff that would change as they were playing and levels were going on.
Oh, neat.
And Hearthstone was made up to be like an inn. So they had 2 bars on either side where people were drinking out of giant mugs, and in the center was the 2 players.
Just 2 nerds.
In the center was 2 players with their computers, and they were facing each other like you and I are. And they had headphones on, and they were in a soundproof booth as well. And then in the background is a big faux fireplace, you know. So it was really cool. The sets were really beautiful. The Warcraft live raid exhibition was Method versus Midwinter, and Method took it, not by much either. So the way that this works is they pick a portion of the raid, and this, since Warlords is coming out, they got the chance to do some Warlords content.
Oh, so in the championships they got to play content that people haven't seen yet?
Right.
So they were doing a raid. Did they get to practice ahead of time, or are they just thrown in?
They were practicing the actual raid in the beta.
Okay.
So they had a couple of different chances to do that. So yes, they're playing new content, which is really exciting this particular year because last year we just got to watch
some old raid you've seen before.
Yeah, some Mists of Pandaria, some Siege of Orgrimmar stuff that we had already seen because it's been out for 2 years. Mists of Pandaria. So. Pandopolis, as you like to call it. So yeah, it was really kind of exciting to see the new raid content, and it's a race. You know, it's to see which one defeats the last boss first. So,
are they in the same instance, or are they playing 2 separate instances of the raid?
Yeah, they're playing 2 separate instances. It's their whole raid team versus the other whole raid.
Wasn't a raid team like 80 people?
No. With their new system, there's 10 mans and 20 mans now. And they scale as to how many members they actually have. The damage and stuff now. Before it was 10-man, 25-man.
Is there anything in World of Warcraft that involves 80 people? Or did I just pull that number out of my ass?
You're thinking of the 40-man raids.
Times 2.
Times 2, apparently.
Okay.
We'll get down to that here in a little bit when I get to the Warlord stuff. But yeah, there used to be 40-man raids back in the original World of Warcraft and Burning Crusade.
Okay.
In the second expansion. And then they kind of did away with them because the popularity was just waning on it. Finally, they also had a Heroes of the Storm exhibition. Since Heroes of the Storm I think it's just now going into beta, or they're still in technical alpha. One of the two.
What is Heroes of the Storm?
Heroes of the Storm is all of the heroes of the Blizzard IPs and the villains, and it's their MOBA style game that we've talked about.
Oh, okay, yeah.
There were only a handful of teams who went to play, and it ended up being Evil Geniuses versus Cloud9, and Cloud9 swept them away with a 3-0 win.
Suck it, Evil Geniuses.
Exactly.
That's what I say.
I agree. So, I'm not a big follower of StarCraft. I've never played it. I've seen a little bit of gameplay. I don't particularly understand it. I know it's fairly large in the Asian portion of the world. But StarCraft's new stuff is going to be coming out. It's called Legacy of the Void. I didn't see any release dates or anything, but I think that's what the new expansion is called.
It's just amazing they're still putting shit out for StarCraft 2. StarCraft 2 has been around for a while.
Yeah.
It's a real-time strategy game.
Yeah.
Do you ever play any real-time strategy games at all?
Not usually, no.
I'm terrible at them. Like, really bad.
I can't think of any even to compare as to whether or not I'm terrible.
Age of Empires?
No, never played it.
Civilization?
No.
Civilization's turn-based, it's not real-time.
Nah, I haven't really played that either. Well, I think Kevin and I played a couple of, like, RTSs.
The Halo whatever was a real-time strategy.
Yeah, that one was. I didn't get to play a whole lot of it, but there was another one. I think there was a couple that I played on my tablet as well, just randomly. When I was looking for something new to play, that I grabbed and played a little bit. I think it was more tower defenses, though.
Yeah, tower defense would be kind of turn-based, I guess. I think tower defense is really in its own thing, because tower defense genre, you have all the time really you need to upgrade, and then once you hit start, you just watch it go.
Yeah. So yeah, that was StarCraft stuff. You can look up more on that if you're interested in StarCraft.
There's your plot hook.
There's your plot hook. Find something to find your demise. They also revealed a documentary for World of Warcraft called Looking for Group, which harkens back to how Warcraft began all the way up to its current state. There's your hook for that. It is available on YouTube. You can go and watch it. I think it's
the whole documentary?
The whole documentary. Yeah, I think it's an hour and a half long, maybe.
Did you ever see that documentary this guy made who played World of Warcraft obsessively? And he made a documentary about how it ruined his life. You can find it on YouTube. I can't remember the name. I'll link to it on the Facebook when I find it, if I remember. Yeah, it's just painful to watch.
Oh, really?
Like the guy's talking about... He's going on a crusade to say how MMOs should be shut down because they ruin people's lives.
Yeah.
And never once addresses the fact of most people who play MMOs can separate it.
Yeah.
And I mean, MMOs are kind of made to be a time suck. You know, they are. That's how they work. You got to do this quest and this is going to take you 2 hours or whatever.
Right.
But most people, I think, can differentiate and say, shit, I've been playing for 10 hours, I have to work. Like, guess I'm going into work on 2 hours of sleep.
Right.
But this guy just played it obsessively, and then because he lost, like, friends and a fiance and stuff to it, he was saying, MMOs are evil, they're doing this on purpose, they should be shut down, my story can happen to you or your kids, you know, one of those
right,
things.
Yeah.
It's really painful to watch.
Well, I imagine that this one's a lot more lighthearted and a lot more interesting.
Oh, yeah, I know that the two aren't related,
Yeah.
besides the fact that they're documentaries.
Yeah.
But have you ever been in, like, because I know you ran a guild, and still do, don't you?
I'm second in command of mine.
Have you ever run across anybody, either through the guild or anywhere else, that's just seems to always be on, besides you? Or are you the guy that's always on?
No, I'm not. Especially now that we're doing this stuff. I find a lot more of my time is kind of spread thin. So.
Yeah. Have you ever run across anybody, though, that's just
But,
like, how do you live?
There for a while, I mean, even you guys would kind of give me crap of like, I can't come and hang out, I've got a raid to do, or...
Well, and I feel like
that.
that's where an addiction comes into play, right? I mean, I wouldn't say that you were addicted to World of Warcraft.
Well,
Addicted is a strong word.
It's not necessarily that, it's just... Especially with content where you have to have, 10 to 25 people doing stuff together at a certain time from all across, whatever region you're playing in, all across the United States for the United States servers, where if we have a raid set up at 9 p.m. Eastern, people who are on the West Coast have to be in and ready to play at 5 o'clock.
Yeah, I get it. It's hard to organize that kind of stuff.
So, I mean that's
shit, it's hard to organize us recording with more than 2 people, and we all live in the same fucking town, right?
Right.
What got me, though, is when you would say, no, I can't do that, I've got to do my dailies.
Well,
and I'd say, what are your dailies? And you'd say, oh, these are just quests you can do every day.
Yeah.
They up your reputation.
Yeah. Well, and that was the problem with the beginning of Mists of Pandaria, is there was so many dailies and so many things that were tied to rep, and that was one of their big pitfalls for Mists of Pandaria, was just putting that barrier in where you had to get a certain amount of rep in order to get this stuff that's going to help you through the rest of the game.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that was their big caveat there. I haven't got to watch the documentary yet. I haven't had time to, but I plan on it. And maybe I'll come back and revisit on how good it was.
Yeah.
Moving on, we get to the Warlords of Draenor stuff. Warlords of Draenor launches tonight at midnight Eastern Standard Time.
Tonight? Like the night we're recording?
Yes, tonight.
Are you going to be playing it
Nope,
at midnight?
I'm going to be editing our freaking podcast.
You're not going to jump on, though, for a little bit?
Nope, probably not. I've got too much stuff to get done.
Yeah.
I ordered a virtual copy. Ginger ordered a hard copy. Hers will not be here until tomorrow by 8 p.m. at the latest.
Is she going to be here at 8 p.m. tomorrow, or does she work?
She'll be working, yeah. So
are you guys going to wait and load it up together?
Probably.
That's adorable.
I know. So yeah, it launches tonight. Like I said, it comes out midnight Eastern Standard Time, and at that point you'll be able to start leveling your character from 90 to 100. A week after, on November 21st, WoW will be celebrating their 10th anniversary, which features a revamp of the Molten Core 40-man raid. So this was released, I think, in the original World of Warcraft, was the 40-man Molten Core.
So they're bringing back the 40-man.
Yes, so it's been retooled so people who are level 100 can run the raid. And it's going to be on the Looking for Group, the LFR, the Looking for Raid. Much like the Dungeon Finder system that we did when you were playing.
Yeah.
It's going to be able to pull in people from any realm, and you'll be able to play the 40-man like that.
Okay. I think this is my favorite, looking just ahead in the show notes by a minute or two.
Uh-huh.
Everyone who logs in during this time will receive the Molten Corgi pets.
Yes.
Is that a WoW thing, or is it a corgi like a fucking corgi, like a dog?
Yeah. It's a dog, but it's on fire.
Is it made of lava, or is it just a flaming dog that's just yipping around?
No, it's made of fire, and it's freaking adorable.
It's a corgi.
Yes.
Like curly-tailed little corgi?
Yeah.
Is that what a corgi is? Or am I thinking
it
of
has
pug?
a slight curl tail, I think.
Not like a little pigtail?
Or maybe it's just a straight tail, but it's short and adorable.
I don't think either of us knows what a corgi is.
No, I love corgis. If I were going to have a dog, a corgi would be it.
I don't think you can profess that you love a dog when you don't know what kind of tail it has, dude.
Let me finish the notes real quick, and then we'll talk about the corgi. Like I said, the Molten Core 40-man, you have to be level 100 to participate in. They're also going to be doing a PvP event, South Shore versus Tar and Mill, featuring 2 brackets, level 90 to 99, and a level 100 bracket. So everyone who logs in during the 10th anniversary, which will run until January 5th, will be able to receive the Molten Corgi pet as soon as they log in.
Which you'll be able to use to do pet battles and stuff.
Yeah, you'll be able to use to do pet battles and stuff, and it's just a free pet. Congratulations. If you run the Molten Core and defeat Ragnaros, you will be rewarded a Core Hound mount, as well as a Warlords of Draenor Raid Finder quality helm, which both have a 100% drop rate.
So it's not a chance that, like...
There's not a chance that you won't get it. I mean, you will get it. So that's pretty cool.
Is the Core Hound mount a grown-up version of the Molten Corgi pet?
No. The Core Hounds are 2-headed things. I'll pull up a couple pictures for you.
Okay. I think I'm actually going to look up that WoW documentary on YouTube and watch it tonight. That's pretty badass.
So yeah, the Corgi just has like a little bobtail. But they're small dogs. You remember Cowboy Bebop?
Oh, yeah, okay.
The dog on that?
Yeah.
Ein? That was a Corgi.
So you have a picture of the Molten Corgi pulled up, and it is adorable.
Yeah. Super, super adorable.
Yeah.
And then the Corehound mount has the 2 heads, and it's like slobbering everywhere. It's slobbering lava out of its mouth. And there is actually a Corehound pet as well that's super adorable, and just a very tiny version of that.
So is Warlords of Draenor lava themed?
No.
Like, why are they doing... Are they doing all this lava-themed stuff because of the Molten...
The Molten Core raid, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's why they're doing that. Also, coming up in December, they will have a charity pet available to support the American Red Cross for Ebola relief efforts. Argy, the space goat, it's kind of modeled after the Draenei. So those are the bluish guys.
Yeah.
It was data mined in the early portion of the Warlords of Draenor beta, and 100% of the proceeds will be donated to the American Red Cross, and the cost will be $10.
Are you going to get a space goat?
Either I'll get one for me, but I'll probably end up getting one for Ginger.
Yeah. Doesn't she obsessively collect all the pets?
Yeah, she loves the pets. She loves the pet battling. Her $15 a month is
for Pokemon, pretty much.
Is pretty much for Pokemon.
That was whenever I played last year when you guys got me that for my birthday.
Yeah.
Pet battling became my favorite thing to do.
Oh, really?
I mean, I like going in the dungeons with you. The pet battling kind of slowed down because my computer really couldn't handle WoW now, unfortunately.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, if you remember, almost every time you would see me, I'd have a different pet following me around.
Yeah.
For a while, I had a rat.
Yeah.
I don't know, it cracked me up to have my little level 1 Stormwind rat running around.
And you were always a big Pokemon fan anyway.
Oh, I love Pokemon, yeah.
I can't wait for you to get a new computer because I'd love to get you back into WoW.
I know. If I had a computer that could run it, I would probably play WoW. I don't know if I would pay for it every month.
Right.
I would probably go through phases of a month or two of playing it, let it expire for a month, come back again for a month or two. Because that's kind of how I tend to play games, is in waves.
Right.
I'll play it obsessively and then just drop off. Like Destiny. I was playing Destiny a lot, and then I just hit my maximum one day. My Destiny cup filled up, and I said, no, I'm done. And it's sitting on my...
Destiny cup hath overfilled.
Yeah, and it's sitting on my shelf, and I definitely will get back to it, and I know when I do, I'll start a new character, I'll play for weeks, hours a day sometimes, and then same thing, I'll just be tired of it again.
Yeah.
I just got sick of it, like, not to go off here for a second, but Destiny has built in, I can't remember what they're called, they're like exotic weapons or whatever. You can only get them if you complete these very specific quests.
Right.
And then they're really good weapons, you can use them in PvP and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
they were just impossible to get. You just had to grind and grind and grind to get them. And it was like some of the stuff was left up to chance. And I would find walkthroughs online of how to unlock this exotic weapon in 5 hours. And it was be here at this time, do this, do that. And it just got aggravating to me.
Yeah.
Because you just get outclassed the longer the game goes on. If you're not playing it to that level, it felt like you're just outclassed so quickly.
Yeah.
So that was a little irritating. And I kind of felt that a little bit with WoW also. And I never went past level 21, 22. Maybe I got up to like 27 when I played, but I never crested the 20s.
Really? I thought we were up to the 40s. I think we got to the 40s. No, because Gordrim, I was playing him with you, and I haven't really touched him since. My warrior, we got up into the 40s.
Did we?
Yeah.
I don't remember.
Yeah, we got up there. We're coming to the end of BlizzCon, and they had Metallica as their closing performance.
Cool.
So we kind of crapped on Metallica last week, briefly talking about this. And while, yes, we're not big Metallica fans, they performed very well from the bits and pieces that I watched. I do want to watch the full performance just to see how everything went, but it seemed like it went well. I don't know. I mean, to say that I don't like Metallica as a band is pretty accurate, but I mean, I don't mind listening to some Metallica. I'm not going to go out of my way to listen to Metallica, but if I hear it on the radio, I'm going to choose that over some of the shit that might be playing on one of the other radio stations.
Yeah.
So they are by no means a bad band. They just have been around for a really long time, and their foresight of the Napster stuff and where the industry is going left a bad taste in some people's mouths, and then just the fact that it's not the kind of music that you and I particularly listen to.
Yeah.
So there's all of that. But the performance, they looked like they had fun. It wasn't like Blink-182 where it looked like they were very disinterested in being there. They were the consummate professionals.
I've always thought that whenever I inevitably hang myself, when my body's discovered, Enter Sandman's going to be playing on repeat.
See? Well, there you go. You even kind of like Metallica in that sense.
Well, I just want to do that last little punishment to myself before I leave this mortal coil. Before I take God's hand and go off to Never Never Land.
Oh my God. They threw pics and shirts and things out into the crowd after the show, and they were well received by all. So, to wrap up my brief BlizzCon coverage, Blizzard announced their newest IP in 17 years. And this new IP is called Overwatch. And it has been getting a lot of news. So, Overwatch is an intellectual property that arose from the ashes of the now abandoned Titan project.
Which was an MMO they were working on?
Yeah, they were working on a first-person shooter, but it was an MMO. And it got to a point, they'd been working on it for quite a while. I mean, they had the name copywritten and everything for a really long time. And they just kept hitting walls as they were developing. There was so much world that they just couldn't get their hands around it. It seems like that's what Chris Metzen was saying. Is there was just so much there that they just couldn't hone in on it enough to make it a really good game.
Which is an amazing excuse. Not saying that it's an excuse like they fucked up. But if you're gonna spin something that you tried to work and failed, to spin it to say, we couldn't get it to work because we made the world too large. Mm-hmm. We made the world too interactive. We couldn't just find the one piece to focus on. I mean, that is some great spin control. It really is.
Well, still, I mean, a lot of people, like I said, again, Blizzard moves at a snail's pace with everything they do. And a lot of people were actually like, hey, you know, if the game didn't work out, great, you scrapped it. You know, a lot of fans and stuff were like, okay, great, you scrapped it. You know, they've spent, I'm sure, millions of dollars and man hours on this game, and all of a sudden they just say, okay, it's not working out, scrap it.
Yeah.
That's pretty impressive for a company. They didn't push out something that was crap.
Well, it seems like Blizzard, no matter what you comment about its speed or whatever,
yeah,
pushes very hard to put out quality products.
Exactly.
I mean, Diablo 3. That's Blizzard, right?
Yeah.
They put out Diablo 3 and fixed a lot of the complaints people had about the auction house specifically.
Right.
They just ripped it out.
Yep.
I mean, it took them a while, but they did.
Yeah. The game itself is a team-based shooter with play elements mirroring Team Fortress in group composition. It features several player roles, which include offense, defense, tank, and support. There are team-based objectives, including payload, which is you have something you have
take
to
this from here to there, yeah.
Here to there, right? And point capture, which is capture the flag, basically. You can already sign up for the beta, so, I mean, if that speaks to anything about the fact that this has already been in development for a while, they have it polished enough that they're confident to release a beta.
Yeah.
But there is no set release date for the actual property yet. But you can also go onto YouTube, type in Overwatch, and watch the cinematic trailer.
I saw, because I was watching those today while you were dealing with your family stuff. There's the cinematic trailer, which is like 6.5 minutes long.
Yeah.
It's animated really well.
It's
like Pixar quality animation.
Yeah, it's like
it's good.
Mid-level Pixar animation.
And then there's also gameplay footage.
Yeah.
But the gameplay footage is like, in quotes, gameplay footage.
Right.
At least what I saw, because it's introducing the characters. It'll be 5 seconds of the first-person view of them doing something.
Right.
And then a new character will come in. It'll go to animated, like CGI animated third person as the new character busts in and does some stuff.
Right.
All I know 100% is I want to play as that damn monkey.
Right?
That guy looks awesome.
Super, super awesome. So you can go to battle.net/Overwatch. You can watch the media footage and find out more about the game. Winston is the monkey's name, by the way.
Winston?
Yep, Winston.
He wears glasses.
He does. He is a gorilla. He's not a monkey, he's a gorilla.
Yeah, I'm a little racist towards gorillas. They're all monkeys to me, right?
Right.
Boy, that clip taken out of context. Dueling ogres. They're all monkeys to me.
Oh boy.
Jesus.
So yeah, that's all I have for my BlizzCon recap.
Sounds like a lot of stuff.
There was, and I apologize for not having the time to get more into it. I mean, I know that we filled an hour. If I would have really gotten into it, we probably could have done a 2-hour show.
Yeah.
But it's late.
Overwatch looks cool, though.
Overwatch does look cool.
Did you ever play Team Fortress or Team Fortress 2?
No, I never got the chance to play them. I always wanted to. I just never got the chance to.
I played Team Fortress a lot.
Yeah, I know you did.
It was from... I don't even think you had to pay for it. It was free as a mod for Half-Life, sanctioned by Valve, and they started to support it and stuff.
Right.
And Team Fortress 1 used the Half-Life Counter-Strike graphics.
Yeah.
And then Team Fortress 2, they released years and years later, and it had kind of the more cartoony style that Overwatch has now.
Yeah.
And the gameplay on the Team Fortress is amazing. I've never played the computer version. I've heard that the game has morphed so much that it's almost unrecognizable from how it originally was.
Uh-huh.
I have the orange box on the 360, and I'll still throw in Team Fortress 2 sometimes.
Yeah.
I'm awful at it. The people who play Team Fortress, because I mean the orange box has been out for how many years now? I don't know.
Yeah.
So the people that play Team Fortress 2 still on 360 have been playing it forever.
Right.
So I go on there, I get called fag and noob a lot, but I just run around as the spy.
Yeah.
Just the class-based one-on-one combat is amazing.
Yeah.
And hopefully if Overwatch manages to keep the spirit of that, I think it's going to be super... I mean, it's going to be super popular either way.
Yeah. As far as I know, there is no plans to release it on a console yet.
Mm-hmm.
But I imagine that it should be fairly easy to get onto a console. Blizzard doesn't really do a whole lot of console stuff. They have Diablo you can play on the console.
Yeah, Diablo 3. I'm
Diablo
surprised
3.
that they haven't announced that they're working on a version of Hearthstone for the 360, or the Xbox One or the PS4, you know?
Oh yeah, it'd totally be a great game to put onto their marketplace.
Yeah.
But they focus mostly on their PC stuff, and
They're not hurting for money or ideas, so...
Exactly. So, well, ideas. I mean, this is, like I said, the first IP in 17 years. New IP. But at the same time, I mean, they have a very long and rich history with the games that they have, and they are still creating content for them. So
Yeah.
They, even for Warcraft, I have heard that they have at least 3 more expansions already. Okay, these are the next 3 expansions that we're going to do.
Oh, I'm sure they do.
So, and this game's 10 years old. Yeah, it's all very exciting. All very exciting stuff. You can still buy the virtual ticket if you want to watch any of the panels from BlizzCon. You can actually purchase the virtual ticket from the Blizzard store. I believe it's $40.
Is it going to be the same price?
Yeah, that's the same price as I paid. But you can still get the virtual ticket up until sometime in November. I don't remember the exact date, so I'd get on it pretty quick if you want to watch any of this stuff.
Okay.
Yep, that's about it. Do you have anything else?
No, not really. I have some just random quick stuff. Star Wars 7, new title, The Force Awakens. I figure maybe we'll talk about that a little more next week. The Magic the Gathering Duels of the Planeswalker 2015 game on Xbox tablets, and I think it's on PS4. Just released a new expansion. $4.99, you play as Garrick, who you fight. In the main storyline of Duels of the Planeswalkers, you have to fight Garrick at the end.
Okay.
In this new expansion, you play as him with a pre-built deck. You have to beat like 4 decks in a row with his, and once you beat those, you can go back and play those guys with your own deck. They released a bunch of new cards for it. They had a lot of complaints when they released the game, because as you played, you unlocked cards, but then you had to pay $1.99 to get premium booster packs.
Right.
And there was like, I think 20 of them maybe, and you open one of those and it was random, and you would get commons, uncommons, and rares that you couldn't unlock in the main game.
Yeah.
So a lot of people were bitching and saying, you released this game for $15, but we didn't get the full game. The full game costs $40 if I want to get all of the cards.
Yeah.
Well, over the course of a few months, I got almost all of the booster packs. Here and there, I spend $1.99 and get them.
Yeah.
Well, with this new expansion, they said, hey, sorry about the premium booster pack stuff. You can't buy them anymore. You unlock them for free by playing multiplayer.
Ah.
So the probably $20, $25 that I spent on those booster packs is just down the drain.
Yeah.
If you bought premium booster packs, though, you get the expansion for free. So I got the expansion for free, so I got a $5 expansion for free, but all of the money I spent on those packs is just like, sorry.
Right in Wizards' pocket.
Yeah,
Hasbro's
exactly.
pocket.
Wizards has been under fire a lot for how they deal with online presence and how they deal with customer complaints.
Yeah.
There's really no reason to get into that because I don't do Magic Online, the
Right.
computer version, which is where most of the complaints come from. As far as Magic goes, since we're, talking Hearthstone and Blizzard stuff, they have announced the name of the third set in the Tarkir block.
Okay.
So Khans of Tarkir, which is out right now.
Yes.
The next one coming out in, I think, January, maybe February, is Fate Reforged.
Okay.
And then the third one, they announced, huge fanfare, they said, the third set is Dragons of Tarkir. Which is funny because people already knew that because they registered the trademark Dragons of Tarkir like a year and a half ago.
Right.
But the story basically follows 5 different clans. One of the main planeswalkers, Sarkhan Vol, this is his plane, Tarkir. So Khans of Tarkir involves these 5 Khans fighting for control. Fate Reforged is Sarkhan travels back in time to the early years of Tarkir, where there's entirely different Khans and the world is different. And then Dragons of Tarkir takes place in the new future that he's changed in Fate Reforged. So in Khans of Tarkir, all the dragons are dead. Fate Reforged, something happens that then in Dragons of Tarkir, the dragons are now back.
It's all very timey-wimey.
Yeah,
It's like a lot of places are going timey-wimey because that's what Warlords is. It's going back in time, sort of.
a time travel thing.
Yeah.
Well, what's neat with the sets is they're really vague about what's going to happen.
Uh-huh.
Because, they don't want to tell the story before the set comes out, obviously.
Right, yeah.
So all people know is that Fate Reforged is going back into the past. So it's just assumed that Dragons of Tarkir is going to be the new changed future. That makes the most sense.
Right.
It might not be. I mean, there's a whole bunch more speculation I'm not going to get into. There was a set called Rise of the Eldrazi, where the main bad guys were Eldrazi, which were these giant godlike beings that ate planes, kind of Galactus style.
Uh-huh.
There's some speculation that the Eldrazi are going to come back, and they're going to introduce, at the ends of Dragons of Tarkir, they're going to introduce and go back to Zendikar, where the Eldrazi are. But I mean, it's all speculation and stuff. I don't really follow the story that much, but...
Right.
There were some spoilers for some new cards out of Fate Reforged. I didn't pull them up or don't remember them, so...
Fair enough.
But it looks good.
Cool.
Like I told you, I'm going to a Khans of Tarkir draft this weekend, and
Yeah.
I'm excited. It's been so long. The set's a lot of fun to draft.
That's cool.
So,
All right. As for shout-outs, I think Bree maybe commented and liked once or twice.
yeah, Bree shared some stuff. Keisha commented.
Yep.
She very kindly commented on our last episode, which was just an awful episode.
Hey, like I said, they can't all be gold.
Yeah. It was nice. I like how she commented on it. And, typically she'll comment on an episode and be like, good episode, guys, or whatever. And on this one, she commented and said, oh, Blizzcon, I didn't know about that.
Yeah.
Which was fantastic. It was like, I know it was unintentional, and I appreciate the kindness of it.
Right.
So I'm not joking about her in any way. It's just funny when, we release it and we know it's not a great episode, and then she still musters something nice, but the nicest thing that she's physically capable of mustering, speaking to the level of the episode, is, oh yeah, I didn't know about that one thing.
Yeah, I can't wait for the next thing that you're going to talk about.
So thank you, Bree, for sharing episodes. Thank you, Keisha, for saving our feelings as much as possible.
All right. If you have any questions or comments, or you'd like to hear yourself mentioned on air, you can reach us on Twitter at Dueling Ogres, email us at duelingogres@gmail.com, or leave a comment on the podcast page or Facebook. Also, be sure to give us a 5-star review on iTunes, because, as you were saying earlier, if you try to type us in on iTunes, you have to type in the full name. The only way for you to find us faster is to give us that little
review.
That little review.
5-star review.
That little 5-star review. Because that literally boosts us up the cool kids list.
Yes. I eventually want to get to the point where when you go into iTunes and you search dueling, we are higher than Dueling Banjos.
Exactly. We don't want to be lower than Dueling Banjos.
I mean, I respect Dueling Banjos. I respect what the Banjos do. I think that's a life goal for me.
Yes.
I think if we can finally crest Dueling Banjos, I can hang myself to Enter Sandman.
Also, be sure to give us a thumbs up or a comment on Stitcher. And
that helps to boost us higher.
Well, I already said that live.
You got ahead of yourself.
That's okay. So until next week, Ogres, keep your clubs blunt and your tusks sharp. Good night.
I have to go pee real quick.
Okay. It's fine.
I'll be your crying shoulder.
I'll be love suicide. I'll be better when I hold her. I'll be the greatest man of your life.
You know what I hate? How some people have hand soap and some people have hand sanitizer by their sink. Because I never know, and there are times where I'll, hand soap thinking it's sanitizer and, rub my hands and walk away. And get, maybe 5 steps away before I realize that I just have soap rubbed all over my hands.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I just don't see the point in having hand sanitizer where
by the sink.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I burped.
I know, you just look like you're exploding from the inside out whenever you do that. I know it's because you're trying to burp away from the microphone, but it's just, I can see it, work its way up, your cheeks puff out like in a cartoon when they eat a stick of dynamite, and then
Right.